founder of Fostering Student Growth. This is another episode of Ask the Tutor. Here's a question I often hear from parents. Why doesn't my child enjoy reading longer books or chapter books? And what can I do at home to help? If your child will happily read a short article, a graphic novel, or something of another topic, and it's a topic they love, but suddenly lose interest when you hand them a chapter book, it can be very frustrating. But before you assume your child doesn't like reading, there may be something else going on. Sometimes the challenge is reading stamina. So what is reading stamina? Reading stamina is the ability to stay focused and engaged with a text for a period of time. And just like muscles get stronger, reading stamina develops with practice. A student may be able to read a short passage successfully, but then they struggle when they're expected to read several pages or an entire chapter. The issue may not be that they can't read. They may simply be working on their ability to sustain their attention and engagement for longer periods of time. So instead of expecting your child to suddenly read for a long time, let's think about building it gradually. One of the easiest ways to build a reading stamina is to start small. Instead of saying, you need to read this entire chapter tonight, try setting a shorter, more manageable goal. You might start by setting a 5 or 10 minute timer and encouraging focused reading. If that's too much, start with less time. As your child becomes more comfortable, gradually increase the time. You can also use a natural stopping point, such as the end of a section or a chapter, rather than a timer. The goal isn't to see how many pages they can read, but to consistently develop reading habits and eventually increase reading stamina. There is another important piece to reading stamina. We don't just want your child's eyes to just move across the page. We want their brain engaged with the text. Every once in a while, encourage your child to pause and think about what they are reading. You can ask, who was in this part? What happened? What do you think will happen next? You don't need to stop after every paragraph or turn reading into a quiz. These questions are simply a quick check-in. So these allow your child to think, am I actually following what I'm reading? That helps your child practice active reading and staying connected to the story. Now, what happens when the attention wanders? First, remember that this happens to everyone. The goal isn't for your child to have perfect concentration every second. Instead, help them learn to notice when their attention has wandered and get themselves back into the text. You might say, hey, looks like your mind wandered off for a minute. Let's get back to where you left off. You can also ask, what made it difficult to stay focused? Maybe the book is too difficult. Maybe your child's tired. Maybe they don't understand what's happening. Or they may simply just not be interested in the story. Find out why they're struggling, and that is much more helpful than simply telling them, try harder. And that brings us to another strategy. Choose engaging books. Let your child explore topics and genres they're interested in. If they love sports, try sports stories or biographies. If they love mysteries, let them explore a mystery. If they're interested in science, animals, history, my favorite, fantasy, or another topic, use that interest to their advantage. When the story or topic is an interest to your child, they're more likely to want to keep reading. Again, the goal isn't to make every reading experience about getting through the book you think they should be reading. It's about helping them find reading experiences that make them want to continue to read. Another important strategy is to celebrate. Celebrate consistency. Try not to focus on the number of pages your child read. Instead, notice effort and improvement. Maybe your child stayed focused for 5 minutes this week when they could only manage 3 minutes before. That's progress. Maybe they came to a difficult section and reread it instead of giving up. That's progress too. Or maybe they picked up their book without being reminded. Celebrate that. These small successes help build confidence. And when reading feels more manageable and your child feels confident, longer books can start to feel less overwhelming. And here's another strategy. This doesn't require a timer, a worksheet, or a reading program. Let your child see you reading. Read something you enjoy. A book, a magazine, an article, something related to a hobby or an interest. When children see adults reading for information or enjoyment, they see that reading isn't something they have to simply do for school. It's something people actually choose to do. You don't have to give your child a speech about why reading is important. Sometimes simply letting them see you enjoy reading can make an impression. So, here's something that you can try at home this week. Choose a book your child is interested in. Set aside a short, consistent amount of time, perhaps 5 to 10 minutes. Let your child read without focusing on how many pages they complete. Then pause and ask 1 or 2 questions. Who was in that part? What happened? What do you think will happen next? Then celebrate the effort of reading. You don't have to completely change your child's reading habits overnight. Start with one small, successful reading experience, then build from there. One final thought. If your child is consistently struggling with longer reading, don't automatically assume that it's a motivation problem. Difficulty with longer texts can sometimes be connected to other reading skills. For example, if decoding is difficult, reading takes more effort. If fluency, which is reading smoothly and accurately, if that's weak, reading can feel slow and tiring. If vocabulary is limited, a chapter may be harder to understand. And if comprehension, understanding what they read, is challenging, your child may lose interest because they're having difficulty following. And if comprehension is challenging, your child may lose interest because they're having difficulty following the text. Understand why reading feels difficult. That can help you determine what kind of support your child may need. So if longer books are a struggle, remember, reading stamina develops over time. Start small. Choose engaging books. Practice consistently. Pause occasionally to check understanding. And celebrate progress, not just the page count. Every reader grows with practice. And then, if you would like additional help understanding where your child's reading skills are right now, a reading checkup through Fostering Student Growth can provide a clearer picture and the strengths and the areas they need support. Again, I'm Kelsey founder of Fostering Student Growth. Try one small strategy this week. See how it changes. And I will see you in the next Ask the Tutor.